Alright, hello, and welcome to a special video. Today being Saturday, October 18th, the 40th anniversary of the Nintendo Entertainment System, aka the NES, which, rated by how many good games are on it, is still amongst my favorite consoles of all time. Yes, I get it. By today's standards, technologically, the NES is primitive. I would frickin' hope so after 40 years now. If 40 years later the NES is still the state of the art in video game technology, there's something wrong with that picture. And besides the point, I got news for you, Buster. The NES never was state of the art, even in its heyday in the late 80s. The Sega Genesis came out in 1989 and it was 16-bit, opposed to the NES 8-bit. So the NES was never exactly the most powerful console around, even in its time. No, it became an iconic console of video game history because of its library of games, The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Castlevania, Ghosts and Goblins, etc., etc., etc. Like any console, it doesn't matter how powerful it is. If the games on it are shit, nobody's gonna care. It'll be a powerful boat anchor, a powerful dust collector on store shelves that nobody's gonna buy because it doesn't have shit for games. Look at what was that, the CDO or friggin' TurboGrafx 16. High quality technology, but didn't have much to offer in the way of games, so therefore kind of failed commercially, no matter how powerful it was. Yeah. And then on the other hand of that token, the NES, not so powerful, but still was the console that helped revitalize the gaming industry after the crash of 1983. The console without which, due to that impact, I shudder to think where video games would be today had that archaic piece of technology not been released. Now, I've been doing a playthrough of Kid Icarus, and I will continue to do so. But for right now, thought I'd just do little clip pieces, playthroughs of some of the other games that I might do full playthroughs of over the coming years, but for now, no. Let's see here. I already did Dragon Warrior 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, there is this game. I commented on it in earlier videos for the Kid Icarus series, but as soon as the screen switches over. Yeah. Like I said, I commented on this game in earlier videos for the Kid Icarus series. I used to love this game. And to be fair, it's not totally abysmal. It's just games like this, I just can't seem to get into it, no matter how hard I try. Frick, I even bought Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection on the new, well, I don't know if it's still the newest anymore now, 4 years later, but yeah, one of the newer games in the series on Switch. Yeah. I'm just not any good at these kind of button masher platformer games. Again, the difference between 1988 and today. Back in 88 and 89, I used to be great at games like this. But then I got heavy into RPGs in the summer of 89 and ever more since then. And after playing far more RPGs than any platformer type game, going back and playing games like this, well, like I've said before, 18-year-old me would be laughing his ass off if he saw me playing. God, you suck nowadays. What happened to you? You used to be so good at these games. I mean, to be fair, even back in the day, I could never do like a deathless playthrough or anything like that. Some of these challenge playthroughs, Twitch streamer YouTubers like Agent Frowny do. I was never that good at the game. Oh shoot! I didn't want that stupid fireball. Oh, there goes my playthrough. See, that's one of the things I hate about a lot of these old platformer games. The original Castlevania has the same flaw. Whether when you pick up that power-up, whether you wanted it or not, you're stuck with it. There is no going back. Bullshit. I mean, like some people have already pointed out, to be fair, it works, You keep your, when you got one you want, you keep that after death too, so you restart with that, so it kind of works both ways, but still. I mean, that's one of the many reasons why, when it comes to Castlevania games, I prefer the more recent Metroidvania style, Harmony of Dissonance, etc., etc. Where if you do accidentally pick up a power-up you don't want, you have a few seconds with the old one still laying there on the ground where you can pick it back up and keep the one that you had. Yeah. What a concept. But these original games didn't give you that luxury, didn't give you that option. Once you picked it up, you were stuck with it, whether you wanted it or not, and there will. One of the reasons I lost interest in these kind of games in the first place, not just my increasing interest in RPGs with Dragon Warrior, then later Final Fantasy 1 and but getting tired of jank bullshit like this, excuse my language by the way, but picking up a power item by accident and then being stuck with it. Yeah. Oh great, I gotta fight that guy or avoid that guy. Yeah. Trying to fight that demon devil guy with the fireball. Oh, great. Of course. Like a lot of these games, I do still have a lot of nostalgia for this one. Not so much the Super Nintendo game Ghouls and Ghosts, even though it is the aforementioned Agent Frowny's favorite game, or so he says so often in his Twitch streams, but to be honest, I don't think I ever played that game maybe once. Because by the time it came out, I was already deep into my interest in RPGs. Dragon Warrior 1, I was already playing through Final Fantasy 1, and by then that transition had already started happening. My interest in these kind of games was slowly waning in favor of RPGs. So if I ever did play Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the Super Nintendo, it was only once and I have absolutely no memory of it, so. Okay, good, a decent weapon for once. Now don't pick up that fireball again. Well, I'm not going to pick up anything, I'm dead. Yeah, well, at least they give you the continue option. Not that it's going to matter for me anyway, because I'm still in the first stage, so. Anyways, suit up and go get your girlfriend back, huh? Yeah. I mean, that part of it I do like. Very brief story. You don't have frickin' 20, 30-minute long cutscenes that you cannot skip, like some more modern games do. Yeah. Story is brief if there is any at all. The emphasis was on the gameplay, not the story. Just don't tell that to Hideo Kojima and his Metal Gear series. I swear he thinks he's making movies, not video games. I mean, I love those Metal Gear games, don't get me wrong, but and at least there the cutscenes are skippable. Unlike Final Fantasy VII, I mean, I love that game. You know, kind of the irony there. I freaking love Final Fantasy VII. Easily my second favorite video game of all time. Topped only by a game who has the word time in its very title, Ocarina of Time. But one of my only real gripes against Final Fantasy VII is the abundance of unskippable cutscenes. Yeah. Then you get to games like this, where the emphasis was actually on the game, not the story. What a concept! And yes, at the risk of sounding like an aging old fossil, I do miss those days. Have all the story and cutscenes you want, but make them skippable. Anyways, as you can probably tell, I'm not even really trying here. I'm just playing the game, talking, not really giving any effort in completing it, as I had no intentions of doing a complete playthrough on this game right now. I mean, I do suck at this game, that much is undeniably true, but if I were actually seriously playing, trying to get through the level, I probably could have at least gotten through the first level by now. I'm not that bad at the game. At least I'd like to think not. Of course, then again, I might just be kidding myself here, but anyways. Next is, again, I might, of course, probably not, at least not anytime soon, but might do a playthrough of this game someday, some year. In the meantime, another game that I have a lot of nostalgia for. Like I've mentioned in other videos, even the introductory video for my Kid Icarus playthrough. The first Castlevania game. I don't like it anywhere near as much as I like the more Metroidvania style Portrait of Ruin, Harmony of Dissonance, Aria of Sorrow, Dawn of... The Metroidvania style is always going to be my favorite Castlevania game, but I do have a lot of nostalgia for this one. Primarily because of one of my younger brothers who back in the day, almost every weekend, like I've explained before, we'd go to the local video store and each of us would be able to rent one game of our choice. 9 times out of 10, if it was still there and somebody else didn't already pick it up, this would be his game for the weekend. Yeah. Like I've also said before, looking back at that now, all these decades later, I think we could have saved some money and just bought the game outright. All the money we spent on renting it for him. Could have just bought our own copy of it and had it indefinitely. Yeah. Anyways. So yeah, because of that, this first game does hold a lot of nostalgic value. But overall, it's just another platformer with jank, cheap difficulty based on bullshit. Excuse my language, but yeah. I mean, if you like that kind of thing, to each their own. I'm not, here to make a big deal about other people's gaming opinions. If you like this kind of game, have fun. And, well, not so much this game, but... I mean, if this is your thing, then hey, have fun. But me personally... Again, I still prefer the more Metroidvania-style Castlevania games, where you still have the annoying Medusa heads, but at least there's no instant death pits for them to knock you into. Instant game over, like in this game. None of that horse shit. Okay, come on, stop sucking. Really? Yeah. Holy water. Now, if I could keep that through the whole game, yeah. Especially in a late game boss battle with Grim Reaper, rock you to hell. No, not that Grim Reaper, but yeah. That would be great. I mean, I know that boss is beatable without holy water, just not for me. Even back in the day when I used to be able to complete this game, I never once got past Grim Reaper death without holy water. So yeah. Of course, nowadays I can't even. Last time I seriously tried to play this game, I couldn't even get up that far into the game. I kept dying to the boss before that one, Frankenstein and Igor. I'm guessing is. Yeah. And there it is, the infamous wall meat, which has always raised the question: if you were in some old castle and found a piece of whatever turkey or chicken or whatever that's supposed to be hiding in the wall, would you actually eat it? Who knows how long it's been sitting there? Frickin' thing is probably, yeah. How many bugs have crawled? But from a gameplay standard, that stuff can be very helpful, since there are no potions in this game, unlike the more recent Metroidvania games that I mentioned earlier. Anyways, again, just a quick partial playthrough. Another game that I might do a playthrough of one of these years. I mean, I already did a playthrough of my favorite 8-bit era Castlevania game, Simon's Quest, which, come on, given what I was just talking about, should only be obvious that would be my favorite of the 8-bit Castlevania games. The predecessor to the Metroidvania style game. Almost, not quite, but almost a full decade before Symphony of the Night, the game that's also often credited as such, comes Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, which is an entirely Metroidvania, but you know, early beta version kind of thing, or however you want to put that. But okay, good. Keep holy water for later. Of course, it ain't gonna matter on this right now anyway, but yeah. Actually, thinking better what I said earlier, I would want holy water for later bosses, but for this guy, the axe actually works better. Well, for those who can actually play the game, that is. Okay, what's that? What? Whatever. God damn it. What the hell are you doing? Stupid phone just reset. What the hell? Oh, sorry. Kind of talking to myself here, but my stupid phone just reset. What the hell? Anyways. And this, well, not this level, but this area is where the aforementioned Medusa heads first appear. In their awkward flying patterns, knocking you into the pits you're trying to jump over. another one of the reasons I lost interest in this type of game. Again, yes, the Medusa heads are a staple of the Castlevania series and would be in almost every game ever made. But again, at least in games like Portrait of Ruin, there were no instant death pits for them to knock you into. So they weren't quite as annoying. They were still annoying, yes, but not as much so. Getting hit by them didn't necessarily mean... Anyways. Well, actually, this one didn't come on until late 1989, so... Got it for Christmas that year. And this one, I probably will be doing. In fact, I even, actually, come to think of it, I even recorded a few videos for a playthrough of this game. More RPG. Well, not exactly, but... Yeah. Of course, like another NES game here in America, Legacy of the Wizard, this game, based on, what was it, Dragon Slayer or something like that, series of games in Japan? Or so I've heard, but... Yeah, this one I will be doing a playthrough of sometime soon. Oh, keyword there, soon. Coming soon. How soon is soon? Well, that I don't know. Still got my, after my Kid Icarus short Kid Icarus playthrough for the 40th anniversary NES. Back to Final Fantasy V and Dragon Quest VII, two longer games, so... Anyways. Jump. Oop. Helps if you actually jump over the enemy. Actually, you know what? You know what? Actually. Kill me! Screw you. There. Not that I have any magic abilities yet, but... Need a ring to open it. How does that work? See which room was that? No, not you. Yeah, you. Why does everybody blink their eyes as they talk? I mean, look at this. Okay. Yeah. Again, I will be doing a playthrough of this game. Only question for me remains, do I even still have those videos I made starting that playthrough out, or do I have to redo them? And or like so many other videos I've made over the years, did I, forgetting to mark them for what they were, rename them, end up deleting them thinking they were just useless test videos that I didn't need to keep and get rid of them? I've done that so many times and had to redo those videos as a consequence to it. Because if I had any brains in my head at all, I'd rename those videos right after I'm done recording them, so that wouldn't happen. But then again, you are talking about me here. Duh, what's a brain? Okay, dude. Oh, wow. He actually gives you a reasonable amount of money. Unlike early Dragon Quest games, which starts you off with 50 bucks. Not even enough to buy a bargain basement shield. Yeah. Granted, there is a glitch to that. You can spend that money, die, and get it all over again. Anyways. Speaking of this game, as I did earlier, Legacy of the Wizard. Another game that, well, probably not anytime soon, but at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily resent the idea of doing a playthrough of for the channel. As it is another one of the, like all of these other games I've been playing on this video today, another game that I used to play a lot back in the late 80s, early 90s. Therefore, I do still to this day have some nostalgia for it, so much so that I even bought one of those various game collections on Switch that included this game in it. Just for this game. I don't care about any of the other games in that collection. Yeah. Just so I could play this game on my Switch. Anyways, like Xanadu, the game I just played very ever so briefly, this, in its Japanese origins, was also part of that same Dragon Slayer series of games. Which is kind of ironic that the entire series, if it's even released here at all, gets a completely different name. And kind of like Secret of Mana, actually, now that I think better of that. Setsun, however you pronounce the Japanese original name for that series. Setsun, yeah. Secret of Mana. Yeah. That whole series. Different. Anyways, let's see, start off by playing as Poochie, the family's pet. And why does the music here always remind me of that goofy 80s, well actually it was older than that, but covered and popularized in the early 80s by Naked Eyes, always something there to remind me. I know it's not, but for some reason the music here always reminds me of that silly pop song. Maybe it's just, 1980s. My teenage years. Well, 1983, I wasn't even a teenager yet, but anyways. Keys that you'll need to open chests, unlock doors. Obviously, I mean, what else do you use keys for in games? This is why it always bugs me when in Zelda games, not just once, but every time you find a key, they have the audacity, the nerve, the gall to tell you, you found a key, use it to unlock a door. Like, no shit, Sherlock. I didn't think I was going to pick my nose with it. I mean, hearts in video games have had multiple purposes depending on the game. Their currency, like in Kid Icarus, their currency used to buy items with. In most games like Zelda, their health, energy, heart containers, heart pieces. So hearts, I could see an explanation for it since different games, different uses, different purposes. But keys have always, as far as any game I've ever played anyway, have always served the same purpose, to unlock things. Yeah. I mean, if there is any game where keys are used for something else, that's news to me. Yeah. Yeah, treasure chests. Oh, I didn't really need that. Should have saved that for later. Actually, I'm going to. Magic replenishment. Yeah, that's what the family pet here. I guess they think he's one of them or something, so the enemy monsters don't hurt you, thinking that you're one of them. I'm guessing is the story concept here. So you think you'd just play the whole game with him and you wouldn't have to worry about it, but no. The areas he can explore are the smallest of the entire, as each family member can only explore certain areas beyond these starting screens based on their abilities or items they can collect and use. So yeah. His is the most limited. Of course, the one who is permanently invincible has the smallest area. How fitting for video game programming. Then again, I suppose, for those who like challenging games, makes sense that they don't make it too easy. That's why I like a lot of more modern games with difficulty settings built in. Normal, hard, easy. That got you in Odyssey, for example. Anyways, another game I might do a playthrough of, or no might, I will at some point, just don't exactly be too optimistic waiting for it because, again, Final Fantasy V, long game that I'm barely halfway through, if even, where I left off on my last recorded video. Dragon Quest VII, likewise, I'm lucky if I'm even at near the midway on my last recorded video, so yeah. But Xanadu and this game both. Okay, he don't need that. He's already invincible to enemy attacks. Other family members would use those a lot more. With temporary invisibility, whatever. Oh, helps if you hit the button. There you go. Alright, well. An inn down there. Oh, extra money. Okay. Ooh, fall damage. Well. Then there's these games. 1 through 6 on the NES. Granted, I never played 4, 5, or 6, because by the time they came out here, I was already well into my RPG interest of 89, 90, and beyond. So yeah, 5 and 6 for sure. I might have played 4 just out of sheer curiosity for for the series' newest installment at the time. But didn't really care much for it as by then. Final Fantasy, Dragon Warrior. And like I said in the early episodes of the Kid Icarus playthrough, I used to love this series back in the day. And I have tried to rekindle that interest today in the last few years, even buying the Mega Man collections for 1 through 6 on NES and the second one for 7 through 9 on Super Nintendo and whatever other. or 7 through 10 rather, and then Mega Man 11 individually, so I have all of the main series, or at least the first 11 games of it. But I just cannot get into these games anymore, no matter how hard I try. I know a lot of Mega Man fans are going to hate hearing me say that, but yeah. Of course, since I pointed out Kid Icarus, Pit, and Eggplant Wizard, and from Kid Icarus, Mega Man here is also one of the main characters in that goofy cartoon series, Captain N the Game Master. Frick. Now that I think about it, I even have these NES, these 1 through 6 Mega Man NES games on my 3DS Virtual Console. Because even then, you know, nostalgia for the old series, trying to regain my interest I once had in it. But every time I'd sit down and try to play one of these games, I wouldn't get far, and I'd be like, never mind this, I'll go back to whatever the current game was at that time. Anyways, again, guess it's the difference between then and now. Teenage me back in the 1980s loved these games. 50-plus-year-old me now, not so much so, no matter how hard I try. Yeah. Funny how that works out. Anyways, another NES game that I used to play a lot of in 88, 89. Of course, didn't realize it at the time, but as I've found out in more recent years, like a lot of 80s NES video games, basically an arcade port. Because I do not remember seeing this game in the arcades, though. I think I would have played it if I had, or at least tried to, since I love this NES rendition of it. But seriously, I do not remember ever seeing this game in an arcade cabinet anywhere. Yeah, another game of someday, keyword there, someday, italicize that word, someday, get around to doing a playthrough of for the channel. As unlike the Mega Man games, I still like this game enough to do so. Mega Man? Well, sorry to all the Mega Man fans out there, but as it stands right now, there'll be 10 days in a single calendar week before I ever do a full playthrough of a Mega Man game for the channel. Unless by some miracle I happen to regain my long-lost interest in the games that I once had all those decades ago. Anyways, don't have to kill every enemy. Especially now when they're killing you. faster than you are them. I mean, there is an element of grinding here. Tone, blast. One grinded up enough gets you more health on your health meter, and the other increases the strength of your discus or whatever the frick this weapon you're using is supposed to be. So it does have that kind of RPG element of grinding for levels. And for some of the bosses, I mean, I suppose like any RPG game, there's ways around that, but for the most part, like any boss, you're probably going to want to be leveled up a little bit so you can kill them faster. And so you can take more hits from them. I mean, again, like any RPG, I imagine there's ways around that, but not for me. I mean, come on. Anybody who's been around this channel long enough should know I'm always the one that over levels. OP all the way. That's me. Get overpowered, over leveled, and bulldoze through any fool enemy that dare step in my path. Like a tank, just bulldoze through. What? You dare step in my way? You die. Anyways, there's also the Mario games 1, 2, and 3. I tried doing a playthrough of Mario 1. Couldn't get past World 2, 3. That's how bad I am at that game. Of course, these are the games that I haven't played through yet for the channel. Other NES games that I used to play a ton of, well, I already done a playthrough of Metroid NES original. It's already uploaded, been there on my channel for what, 2 or 3 years now. Same with Dragon Warrior 1, 2, 3, and 4, all 4 of them. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, already did a playthrough of that game for the channel. So I'm not, why I haven't mentioned them here yet until just now. Goonies 2, another game that I used to play a lot of that I've already done a playthrough of for the channel. The American version of Metal Gear, which no one at the time knew that, but was, at least not here in America, quite different from the MSX Japanese original of the same game, but I mean, all nostalgia for the American version aside, I do agree with the overall fan base consensus that the MSX original of Metal Gear 1 is a superior game, yes. But, you know, 1988, when the American port of that game came out here. So, yeah, I have a lot of nostalgia for that version of the game and even did a playthrough of it. Yeah. And of course, there's also my favorite NES game, The Legend of Zelda, and its direct sequel, Zelda 2. I already did playthroughs of both of those games. Frick, I even did a playthrough of the second quest of the first Zelda game. The game that, again, for the billionth time, if I were to rate games based on how many times I've played them, The Legend of Zelda would be my unquestioned, undoubted, unchallenged number 1. Whether NES cartridge, actual hardware back in the day, computer emulation, 3DS Virtual Console, or Switch NES Online, one way or the other, the original Zelda, The Legend of Zelda, by far the game that I've replayed more than any other game in all of gaming history, including right here, well, not right here, but on this channel. Not to mention, as I've also said before, 'tis the game that not only made me a Zelda fan, but literally saved my interest in games in general. I mean, the whole purpose of this 40th anniversary NES, one of the things that wasn't my introduction to video games. That was 82 arcade Pac-Man. Then the following school, into the following school year, towards the end of the following school year, actually, never mind, I don't even remember, about a year later, actually, 1983, Lode Runner on Apple II computers, but I could only play Lode Runner at school, and even then, only if my homework was done during what we would probably call study hall, or my equivalent of it. And Pac-Man, you could only play in arcades if you had quarters to do so, otherwise you... So interest in video games quickly waned until 1988 when we got that NES. But even then, for the first couple months, first month or two, all of the games were so damn linear, stiflingly annoying. Good games, but the linearity almost ended my interest in video games right then and there. In fact, I remember arguing with a friend, if I want something that's going to be the same every time I play it, I'll stick with movies. Then that very same friend suggested I play The Legend of Zelda. I try, and what do you know? Here I am all these decades later still playing games as a direct result of that game, so yeah. Anyways. Woo! Happy 40th anniversary, NES. Today, still to this day, the only console that could even come close to rivaling it as far as amount of good games on it would be... Well, actually, I can't even say Nintendo's latest console anymore since the Switch 2 came out a few months ago, but yeah, the Switch 1. Problem is a lot of the good games I like on the Switch are ports of older games, like Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. Or the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 pixel remasters. Yeah. So, if you only count games that were made exclusively for the Switch, Breath of the Wild, either way, I would really have to sit down and think about it and really nitpick to decide between the two, but NES and the Switch, my two favorite consoles of all time. Not the only good ones, mind you, there's also the Super Nintendo, the N64, which had the greatest game ever made, Ocarina of Time, at least originally. But yeah, I probably won't be doing any kind of videos or series like this for any other console, though. 40th anniversary. But I had to do this for the NES, being the console that really truly got me into gaming, and one of its games saved that interest. Again, woohoo! Happy birthday, NES. Of course, it's long since, NES, Super Nintendo, N64, GameCube, Wii, Wii U, Switch, and now Switch 2. Many consoles have come and gone since then, but for me personally, the NES is still the best out of all of them. I'm sorry, I know that makes me sound like an aged old man, but oh well. It was primitive, but like I said before, it was even outdated by the time. At the time, by the end of the '80s, Sega Genesis had come out, and it was never state of the art in video game technology. Don't kid yourself. Even at the time, it was outdated, but it excelled and succeeded because of its games. Like any console, it lived or died by its games or lack thereof. Not the technology under the hood, so to speak. Not frame rate or resolution, but games. Just don't try telling that to people these days who obsess a little too much about frame rate. Anyways, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. As always, have a good day. Thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.